Hello and welcome everyone to the channel The Underscore Metaphor. And here, after a few days, I have bring the video regarding the series of books, and we are now having the books of the Power of Now. The Power of Now is a guide to spiritual enlightenment. Okay, and as in my last video, I was reading chapter first, and that video contained the half of the content of chapter first, and today I'm going to complete chapter first in this video. Okay, and if you are new to this channel, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe to the channel. And if there is any faulties regarding the content, please write in the section, write down the video, and it will be more appreciable if you do so. So I have a request to all newcomers to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Okay, the power of now. Topic enlightenment, rising above thoughts. Isn't thinking essential in order to survive in this world? Your mind is an instrument, a tool. It is there to be used for specific tasks, and when the task is completed, you lay it down. As it is, I would say about 80 to 90% of most people's thinking is not only repetitive and useless, but because of its dysfunctional and often negative nature. Most of it is also harmful. Observe your mind and you will find this to be true. It causes a serious leakage of vital energy. This kind of compulsive thinking is actually an addiction. What characterizes an addiction? Quite simply this. You no longer feel that you have the choice to stop. It seems stronger than you. It also gives you a false sense of pleasure that invariably turns into pain. Why should we be addicted to thinking? Because you are identified with it, which means that you derive your sense sense of self from the content and activity of your mind. Because you believe that you would cease to be if you stop thinking. As you grow up, you form a mental image of who you are based on your paternal and cultural conditioning. We may call this phantom self the ego. It consists of mind activity and can only be kept going through the constant thinking. The term ego means different things to different people, but when I use it here, it means a false self, created by unconscious identifications with the mind. To the ego, the present moment hardly exists, only past and future considered important. This total reversion of the truth accounts for the fact that in the ego mode, the mind is so dysfunctional. It is always constantly keeping the past alive because without it, who are you? It constantly projects itself into future to ensure its continuous survival and seeks some kind of release or fulfillment there. It says one day when this, that, or the other what happens, I'm going to be okay, happy, at peace. Even when the ego seems to be concerned with the present, it is not the present that it sees, it misperceives it completely because it looks at it through the eyes of the past. Or it reduces the present to a means to an end, and the end that always lies in the mind projected future. Observe your mind and you will see that this is how it works. The present moment holds the key to liberations, but you cannot find the present moment as long as you are your mind. I don't want to lose my ability to analyze and discriminate. I wouldn't mind learning to think more clearly or in a more focused way, but I don't want to lose my mind. The gift of thought is the most precious thing we have. Without it, we would just be another species of animal. The predominance of mind is no more than a stage in the evolutions of consciousness. We need to go on the next stage now as a matter of urgency. Otherwise, we will be destroyed by the mind, which has grown into a monster. I will talk about all this in the more detail later. Thinking and consciousness are not synonyms. Thinking is only a small aspect of consciousness. Thought cannot exist without consciousness, but consciousness does not need thought. Enlightenment means rising above thought, not falling back to a level below thought, the level of an animal or a plant. In enlightenment state, you still use your thinking mind when needed, but in a much more focused and effective way than before. You use it mostly for practical purposes, but you are free of involuntary internal dialogue, and there is inner stillness. When you do use your mind, and particularly when a creative solution is needed, you oscillate it every few minutes, also between thought and stillness. Between mind and no mind. No mind is consciousness without thought. Only in that way it is possible to think creativity in, because only in that way does thought have any real power. Thought alone, when it is no longer connected with that most vast ring of consciousness, quickly becomes barren, insane, destructive. The mind is especially a survival machine, attack and defense against all the minds, gathering, storing, and analyzing information. This is what it is good at, but it is not all creative. All true artists, whether they know it or not, create from a place of no mind, from inner stillness. The mind then keeps from of creative impulse or insight. Even the great scientists have reported that their creative breakthrough comes at the point of mental quietude. The surprising result of the nationwide inquiry about America's most eminent mathematicians, including Einstein, to find out their working methods was that thinking plays only a subordinate part of brief, decisive phase of the creative act itself. So I would say that simple reason why the majority of scientists are not creative is not because they don't know how to think, but because they don't know how to stop thinking. It wasn't through the mind, through thinking, that the miracle that is alive on the earth or your body were created and are being sustained. This is clearly an intelligence at the work that is far greater than the mind. How can a single human cell measuring 1 by 1000 of an inch across contain instruction within its DNA that would fill 1000 books of 600 pages each? The more we learn about the working of the body, the more we realize just how vast is intelligence and the work within, and how little we know. When the mind reconnects with that, it becomes the most wonderful tool. It then serves something greater than itself. Emotions, the body's reaction to your mind. What about emotions? I get caught up in my emotions more than I do in my mind. Mind, in the way I use the word, is just not a thought. It includes your emotions as well as the unconscious mental emotion reactive patterns. Emotions arise at the place where the mind and body meet. It is the body's reaction to your mind, and you might say a reflection of your mind in the body. For example, an attack thought or a hostile thought will create a build up of energy in the body that we call anger. The body is getting ready to fight. The thought we are being threatened physically or psychologically causes the body to contract, and this is the physical side of what we call fear. Research has shown that strong emotions even cause changes in the biochemistry of the body. Those biochemical changes as represents the physical or material aspect of the emotions. Of course, we are not usually conscious of all new thought patterns, and it is often only through watching your emotions that you can bring them into awareness. The more you are identified with your thinking, your likes and dislikes, judgments and interpretations, which is to say, the less present, less present you are watching consciousness, the stronger the emotional energy charge will be, whether you are aware of it or not. If you cannot feel your emotions, if you are cut off from them, you will eventually experience them on a purely physical level as a physical problem or symptoms. A great deal has been written about this in the recent year, so you don't have to go there and here. A strong unconscious emotional patterns may even manifest as the external environment that appear to just happen to you. For example, I have observed that people who carry a lot of anger inside, without being aware of it and without expressing it, are more likely to be attacked. verbally or even physically by other angry people, and often for no apparent reason. They have a strong emanation of anger that certain people pick up so liminally and that trigger their own latent anger. If you have difficulty feeling your emotions, start with focusing attention on the inner energy field of your body. Feel the body from within. This will also put you in the touch with emotions. We will explore this in the more details later. You said that emotion is the mind reflection in the body, but sometimes there is a deflection between two. The mind says no while the emotion says yes, or the other way around. If you really want to know your mind and body, and the body will always give you truthful reflection. So look at the emotions or rather feel it in your body. If there is apparent conflict between them, the thought will be lie, the emotion will be truth. Not the ultimate truth of who you are, but the relative truth of your state of mind at that time. Conflict between surface thought and unconscious mental process is totally common. You may not be able to, and you may not yet be able to bring your unconscious mind activity into awareness as a thought, but it will always be reflected in the bodies as emotions, and of this you can become aware. To watch an emotion in this way is basically the same as listening to or watching a thought, which I described earlier. The only difference is that while a thought is in your head, an emotion has a strong physical component and so primarily felt in the body. You can then allow the emotions to be there without being controlled by it. You no longer are emotions, you are a watcher, the observing presence. If you practice this on that it's unconscious in, you will be brought into the light of consciousness. So observing our emotion is as important as observing our thought. Yes, make it a habit to ask yourself what's going on inside me at this moment. That question will point you in the right directions, but don't analyze, just watch. Focus your attention within, feel the energy of emotions. If there is no emotion present, take your attention more deeply into inner energy field of your body. It is the doorway into being. And emotions usually represent an amplified and energized thought patterns, and because of its often overpowering energetic charge, it is not easily initiated to stay present enough to be able to watch it. It wants to take you over, and it usually succeeds unless there is enough presence in you. If you are pulled into unconscious identifications with the emotion thought through lack of presence, which is normal, the emotions temporarily becomes you. After a vicious circles build up between your thinking and the emotions, they feed each other. The thought patterns create a magnified reflections of itself in the form of an emotions and vibration frequency of the emotions keep feeding the original thought patterns by dwelling mentally on the situations, event, or a person that is perceived cause of the emotions. The thought feeds energy to the emotions, which in turn energize the thought pattern and so on. Basically, all emotions are modifications of one primordial undifferentiated emotion that has its origin in the loss of awareness of who you are beyond name and form. Because of its undifferentiated nature, it is hard to find a name that precisely describes this emotion. Fear comes close, but apart from the continuous sense of threat, it also includes a deep sense of abandonment and incompleteness. It may be best to use a term that is undifferentiated as that basic emotions are simply called pain. One of the main tasks of the mind is to try to remove the emotional pain, which is one of the reasons for its incessant activity, but all it can ever achieve is to cover it up temporarily. In fact, the harder the mind struggles to get rid of the pain, the greater the pain. The mind can never find a solution, nor can it afford to allow you to find the solutions because it is itself an intrinsic part of the problem. Imagine a chief opposite trying to find the astonished when the astronaut is itself the foolish. You will not be free of the pain until you cease to derive your sense of self from identifications with the mind, which is to say, from ego. The mind is toppled from the place of power and being revealed the self as your true nature. Yes, I know what you are going to ask. I was going to ask, what about positive emotions such as love and joy? They are inseparable from your natural state of inner connectedness with being. A glimpse of love and joy or brief moments of a deeper peace are possible whenever gaps occur in the stream of thought. For most people, such gaps happens really and only accidentally in the moment when the mind is rendered speechless or sometimes triggered by great beauty, extreme physical exertions, or even great danger. Suddenly there is inner stillness, and within that stillness there is a subtle but intense joy. There is love, there is peace. Usually such moments are short-lived as the mind quickly resumes its noise-making activity that we call thinking. Love, joy, and peace cannot flourish until you have freed yourself from the mind demons. But they are not what I would call emotions. They lie beyond the emotions on a much deeper level. So you need to become fully conscious of your emotions and be able to feel them before you can feel that which lies beyond them. Emotion literally means disturbance. The word came from the Latin impori, meaning to do disturb. Love, joy, and peace are deep state of being, or rather three aspects of the state of inner connectedness with being. As such, they have no opposite. This is because they arise from beyond the mind. Emotion, on the other hand, being part of dualistic mind, are subject to laws of opposites. This simply means that you cannot have a good without bad. So it is unenlightened and mind-identified conditions. What is sometimes wrong colored joy is usually shortly pleasure side of continuously alternating pain or pleasure cycle. Pleasure is always derived from something outside you, whereas joy arises from within. The very things that gives you pleasure today will give you pain tomorrow, or it will leave you. So its absence will give you pain, and what is often referred to as love may be pleasurable and exciting for a while, but it is an addictive, clinging, and extremely needy condition that can turn into opposite at the flick of switch. Many love relationships after the initial euphoria has passed actually oscillated between love and hate, attraction and attack. Real love doesn't make you suffer. How could it? It doesn't suddenly turn into hate, nor does real joy turn into pain. As I said, even before you enlighten, before you have freed yourself from your mind, you may get a glimpse of true joy, true love, or of a deep inner peace still but permanently alive. These are the aspects of your true nature which is usually obscured by the mind. Even within a normal addictive relationship, there can be a moment when the presence of something more genuine, something uncorruptible can repent, but they will be only become the stones to be covered up again to the mind interference. It may then seem that you had something very precious and lost it, and your mind may convince that it was all an illusion anyway. The truth is that it wasn't an illusion and you cannot lose it. It is a part of your natural state which can be absurd but can never be destroyed by the mind. Even when the sky is heavily overcast, the sun hasn't disappeared, it's still there on the other side of the cloud. The Buddha says the pain or suffering arises through the desire or craving that is to be free of pain we need to cut the bonds of desire. All the cravings of the mind seeking salvations with fulfillment in the external things and the futures as a substitute for the joy of being. As long as I in my mind I am those craving, those need, wants, attachment and aversions, and apart from them there is no I, except as a mere possibility and unfulfilled potential, as a seed that has not yet sprouted. In that state, even my desires to become free or en- enlightened is just another craving for fulfillment or accomplishment in the future. So don't seek to become free of desire or achieve enlightenment. Become present. Be there as observer of the mind instead of quoting Buddha, be Buddha. Be a awakened one, which is what the old Buddha means. Humans have been in the grips of pain for the eons ever since they fell from the state of grace into the realms of time and mind and the lost awareness of being. At that point, they started to perceive themselves as meaningless fragments in an alien universe, unconnected to the source and to each other. Pain is inevitable as long as you are identified with your mind, which is to say, as long as you are unconscious, spiritually speaking. I'm talking here primarily of the emotional pain, which is also the main cause of physical pain and physical disease. Resentment, headache, self-pity, guilt, anger, depression, jealousy, and so on. Even the slightest irritations are all form of pain. And every pleasure of the emotions high content within itself the seed of pain. It is inseparable opposite which will manifest in the time. Anybody who has ever taken the drugs to get a high will know that the high eventually turns into low, that the pleasure turns into some form of pain. Many people also know from their own experience how easily and quickly an intimate relationship can turn from a source of pleasure to a source of pain. Seen from a higher perspective, both the negative and the positive polarities are the faces of the same coin and are both part of the underlying pain that is inseparable from the mind identified egoic state of consciousness. There are two labels to your pain: the pain that you created now, and the pain from the past that still lives on your mind and the body. Ceasing to create the pain is the present and dissolving past pain. This is what I want to talk about now. Okay, that's all about the chapter first, and this is the completion of the chapter first, and we learn that ego is a something that has always make desires, and everything's reduced in our minds, in our thought, is something that is from the past or the futures. It was never from the present. We always thought we are thinking about the present, but we are already dwelling the past and the futures, and we always neglect the present time. The chapter first discussed about the various of the pain, different categorizations of the pain, and how to deal with. Okay, that was all about the chapter first. So how you get this video and this content? If you have any things you wanna ask, and if you find any fault regarding this content, you can please write in the comment sections right below the video. And if you are new to this channel, so I'd like to make a request for the like, share, comment, and subscribe this channel because I'm new to this YouTube. So thank you so much for the listening. Thank you so much for watching, and be happy and focus and present.